All right, guys, we're here. We're talking about the state of the window. What's been going on with Celtics transfer window? We're halfway through it now. We're going to talk about what else we need to make happen, what has happened, and just some areas where I think we need help and some dead wood we need to get rid of. So I'm going to go through the team real quick, and we'll just kind of go player by player. First, the big news of the day, obviously, is Paulo Bernardo came in on a 5-year deal, £3.5 million is what's being reported, which is a nice negotiation actually. Down from I think the loan option to buy was $6.5 million, so coming down to 3.5 is a pretty good bit of business. It's a signing that we were all expecting. We knew it was going to happen. Just didn't know when. It's something that probably should have happened a long time ago, but we got there in the end, so that's all I can really say. So we're going to start with the transfers that have come in before Paulo Bernardo, the two goalkeepers. Kasper Schmeichel's been amazing. I'm super impressed. When I first heard about the signing, I wasn't super thrilled. Obviously, it's a big name, someone that we all know, but I had the same feeling when we signed Joe Hart. It's just like, yeah, he used to be good, but can he still do it? And he proved in the preseason that he can. He made some unbelievable saves. So really happy with him. I think he's just a straight up improvement over Joe Hart, and I love Joe Hart. So really happy with that. Sinisalo, didn't see a lot of him. The couple goals he conceded, just really nothing he could do about him. So it's kind of hard to judge. Didn't really do anything incredible. Didn't really make any big mistakes. So the jury's still out on him, but he's, by all accounts, he's a good young goalkeeper. So definitely excited about the prospect of him. And then Scott Bain is just Scott Bain, and he's just, a barnacle on Celtics hull for, forever. And that's fine. I like Scott Bain. He is what it is. What he is. He's happy being third string. So if he likes it, I love it. So all right. So we're gonna skip defense for now. I'm gonna start at the top and work my way back, because the most glaring problem is we need more strikers, and this is not rocket science. We have one striker right now, and he's a good one. Kyogo's a good one, but he can get injured. And he also doesn't fit into every game. There are some games where he's just not well suited. We need a different type of striker. We need an Adam Ida, to be totally frank. We need him. Get it done, please. Just bring him in. Pay the money. Bring him in. These games where we're playing people that are in teams that are just sitting in the low block, parking the bus. We have to have someone that can just be physical and win headers and score from crosses. And Kyogo can score from crosses, but it's usually not a packed box. It's usually where there's space in behind. That's where he thrives, is being able to run in behind teams. And a lot of times during the season, we can't do that. Teams just they're playing for a 0-0 draw, and that's where you need a guy like Ida. So we need two strikers, though. So Ida and one more just as like a third string emergency replacement, basically. The wings, I'm actually okay with the wings situation right now, which, I wasn't okay with it last season, but I'm okay with it now. We've got on the left, I love Dyson Maeda. I really like Luis Palma also. I think they're just very different players. Maeda is just all work rate, all athleticism, all speed, and defensive effort. Luis Palma is not that. He is very much the more technical winger, where he's the one, he puts in he's probably one of the best crossers of the ball on our team. He puts in a sweet ball into the box. So they have different roles to play, which is good. You need that. And then Mikey Johnson. This is where we're gonna get to our first like deadwood. I think Mikey's time truly now is over. I don't. It's not gonna happen. He's not a starting caliber player. Not in this team especially. You just don't. Where's his playing time going to come from? I wouldn't even put him above Yang at this point. I think Yang offers something more than Mikey Johnson does. As far as like, um, I, I just don't see where his playing time comes from. I think he's peaked. I think he's as good as he's going to get. We've waited for years and years and years. I think also his value is probably peaked after that good loan spell. He's probably as valuable now as he ever will be. It's unfortunate because I like him personally. I think he's, I like watching these kids kind of grow up through the club, and he's one of them. But it's sad, but I think it's time for him to go probably to, a lower level English team and start his career over again there. And we saw him at West Brom. He did well. He did really well, but he's just not Celtic quality anymore. He never really was, to be honest. His future was always much brighter than his present, and I think now it's run its course. So I think he should be gone. Nicholas Kuhn, however, cannot leave. He has been incredible this preseason. He had a rough start to the season last year, or when he first came in. It's well documented. He did not play well. He was having issues. He had he lost a bunch of weight, and he was I think he had tooth surgery or something. But I think a full preseason is going to serve him very well. He looks against Man City. He was unplayable. He was the best man on the pitch. He was incredible. Those 2 goals were very direct, which is what I wanted from him. I wanted him to kind of. He was one of his big problems last season. He was too gun shy. He would cut in, and never shoot, and just kind of lay it off. He didn't really do anything with it a lot of times. And against Man City, he was direct. Goes to space, finishes. Goes to space, chops it inside, leaves his man for dead, curls it, bends it in the back post. I mean, that's what I want to see from a winger. Just get in behind, And a lot of times, he's not going to be able to do that against a lot of teams. Man City obviously don't play like a lot of Scottish teams do. So that might have something to do with it. There is a lot of space behind. He's not going to get that, against many teams in Scotland. But I really liked what I saw, regardless. Yang, I'd like to keep him just because we need the depth, and I do like what he brings sometimes, even though he's very raw, he's very young, he's not polished, but he's aggressive and he attacks, he's not afraid to take on his man. He does some weird stuff sometimes, but every once in a while he just looks really, really dangerous sometimes. So I think it's good to just keep and develop. And then there's James Forrest. I don't know why he's up here in midfield. He's more of a forward, but you can't get rid of Jamesy. Jamesy's definitely going to stay. I mean, he's definitely going to be in the mix this season, especially after when we thought he was done last year, and he came in and he was a revelation. So in this preseason, he's looked fantastic. I was at the DC United game, and I thought he was, if not the best player, he was one of the best players on the pitch. He really stood out to me. So. Anyway, obviously he's not going anywhere. So I think our wing situation is good. Our striker situation is bad, but I think we're good on the wings. If they don't strengthen the wings, I'm fine with that. Midfield is completely up in the air because we don't know what's going on with Matt O'Reilly. Is he leaving? Is he staying? There's also interest in Reo Hatate. I don't think that there's any way that they get rid of Hatate this year unless they get an insane offer. They'd be looking for at least $20 million for Hatate to, I think, make it worth it at this point in the window. O'Reilly, I actually think he's going to go for less than what people are saying. They've been holding out for 25 to 30. I think if they get an offer over 20, I think he's gone. I think Celtic bites off a hand to get probably a 22 or $23 million offer, or £1 million offer. I just I don't see them penny pinching when it comes to an offer like that. So I'm going to assume that Matt O'Reilly is going to leave. I would love it if he stayed. I love Matt O'Reilly. If he stays, I will be jumping up and down. If the window ends and Matt O'Reilly is still on Celtic, I will be jumping up and down. But I think he's going to go. I think eventually Celtic will accept an offer. The offers keep coming in for him. Eventually, Celtic will accept one of them. So, assuming he's gone, and I'm going to assume Hatate stays, our midfield will now be Hatate, Callum, and probably Bernardo. Will probably be the best starting three. But when I'm looking at the rest of the midfielders here, I'm looking at Tomoki. He has to stay. He's a great utility man. I really like him a lot. He's very flexible, versatile. I've really been impressed with Odin Holm this preseason. I think he's looking like people have said that he looks like a Callum McGregor future captain replacement. Yeah, I mean, I see what they're saying. He's got that bite about him and that kind of dog in him and that fight. So I can see that. I can see why people would say that. He just looks really smooth and comfortable on the ball, and he's just a hard worker. He stands out when you watch him. Like, you notice him. And for a midfielder, that's always good. Like, if you notice someone in the midfield, that's usually a good thing, unless they're doing something crazy. James McCarthy, please, like, just why is he still here? I know why he's still here, because he has a contract and no one wants to buy him. So I guess he's just going to be here again next year. He's going to get 0 minutes. He's not going to play. So, okay, it is what it is. Quan, if we lose Matt O'Reilly and we don't get a good replacement for him, if we're just going to roll, if Bernardo is his replacement, we have to keep Quan because we need more coverage. But I think if not, if it's looking like he's going to get no playing time, he has to go back out on loan, because I think there's a player there. I think there is a player there for sure. He had a good loan spell last year. He actually looked good in the preseason this year. I'm interested in seeing kind of how he develops. So I wouldn't want him to go on a permanent. I'd like him just to go out on loan if he's not going to get any playing time. And I think that midfield, I think, without a Matt O'Reilly replacement, I think is still good enough. But, I mean, come on. If you get rid of Matt O'Reilly, you have to bring in another midfielder. I just have a really bad feeling that they won't. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, defense. Other than striker, the biggest glaring hole for me is left back. We need competition for Greg Taylor. This man cannot go another season where he is the only left back on the books. I mean, I really like Greg Taylor, but he needs somebody pushing him, or he needs to be pushing somebody better than him, which that's the ideal situation. But I like him. I don't want him to leave, obviously. I just want competition, and we need depth. We just need depth. He's one injury away. He's one injury away from just being a complete disaster in the back line. And I know Liam Scales can slot in on the left, but that is not ideal at all. And so, speaking of Scales, love him. I love Liam Scales. But I think that he has peaked. I think that he's playing pretty much at his maximum potential. And I don't think there's any more room for him to develop. Maybe slightly, but I think he's pretty much at as good as he's ever going to get. I think he's actually played above his potential for a while now. You know, he was one of my players of the season. So I'm definitely not talking trash about him. I love him. I just think if we're serious about Champions League, we need another Cameron Carter-Vickers level player, and not just someone to supplement him. I want a new number one. I want a center back that is better than Cameron Carter-Vickers. Imagine having a back line that has Cameron Carter-Vickers in it, and he's not the best center back. He's the second best center back, and you've got someone better than him sitting next to him. That's a stout defense. That would be easily the best defense in the league, by a country mile. So something to think about. You splash the cash for just one really, really good center back, and you've changed your whole defense. So, Yuki Kobayashi, he's got to go. I mean, he's going to get 0 minutes. He's a permanent deal. I'm not interested in loaning him out. He's got to we've just got to part ways with him. We got to send him back to Japan or something. Wish him all the best, but it's just not going to happen here. Lagerbielke, I like him. I thought he was good when the little bits I've seen of him. I think he's got a pretty high ceiling. I think he could be very, very good. I just don't think Brendan fancies him at all. So I think he will probably go. And if he does go, I'd be okay with a permanent deal if it's good money, but I would rather see him just go out on loan for a year or two and just see kind of how it goes. Navrosky, I don't know what he's doing. He's injured all the time. He looks good, but he does these like crazy last ditch tackles. He's on the ground all the time. And I like that. The slide tackles are cool, but it's going to get him in trouble at some point. He's going to make pretty bad mistakes doing it. So, I don't know. He just makes me nervous when I see him. He's always flailing around and flying into tackles. And, all it takes is, with referees these days in VAR, gosh, if you touch somebody's shoelace and they go down, it's a penalty. And that's just the way it is. So, he's just kind of he just scares me when he plays. I just get really nervous on him. So he'll probably stay. Depends on if we brought in another defender, then I'd be okay with him leaving. But for now, he'll probably stay. Stephen Welsh. Oh, Welshie. I like Welsh. To me, he's kind of like an Anthony Ralston. Probably not going to get a ton of minutes, but he's a good squad player. And if he's okay with that role, then keep him. I'm sure he's great in the dressing room. A lot of times he's captained several times. So I like him more of for the leadership role and the like the homegrown academy feel to it. Plus, he's just good. I think he's actually a decent center back. I don't really feel when he's playing. I don't really feel nervous or I'm not like, oh God, we got Stephen Welsh playing. He's fine. He's a downgrade off of Carter-Vickers, obviously, but he's not that much of a downgrade off of Scales. I'd say he's just just a slight 5% downgrade. So nothing bad. So I'd definitely keep him unless a silly offer comes in for him. Then you got to take it. But I think he would rather be a role player at Celtic than a starter at in the second division Italian league or something. That's what I think anyway. But I might be wrong. And then right back, I think we're set at right back. So we're kind of ending on a dud here. But right back is pretty solid. Obviously Alistair Johnson is the main man. Love Tony Ralston. He's one of my favorite players. I just love his attitude and love his work ethic. He just knows his role, and he just does it really well. And again, when he comes on, yeah, he's not as good as Alistair Johnson, but he his work ethic and his like heart kind of make up for it, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, so I'm good at right back. So, recap: we got to have a left back. We got to get two more strikers. And if depending on what happens with O'Reilly and Hatate, we are going to have to get at least one more midfielder, central midfielder. I would love like a more of like a holding midfield, kind of a hard man in there, if you will, kind of like just a big, strong body in the middle at the park. I think would be good. Just because I think Bernardo and O'Reilly can be a little too similar sometimes. So when they play at the same time, a lot of times they just occupy the similar areas, and they don't work that great together when they're on the pitch at the same time, in my opinion. Plus, they're hard to tell apart when they're on the field at the same time. I don't know who's who because they look very similar when they're from that angle, with their socks, and they're like the same build and same hair and everything. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on the window. There's still a month. I'm sure we will get people in the door. I'm sure it's going to happen. I have confidence, but please, I know the board is not watching this, but if it gets back to those who have, please, just spend a little money, please. You keep bragging about how much money you have. Use it. Spend it. Get some players. And then if you make the team better, your chances of winning the league go way, way, way up. And then you win the league and you go to the Champions League and get the Champions League money again. And then it's just like it keeps going. So just spend a little bit of money and you'll make more. Because if we don't win the league, if we penny pinch and we don't win the league, oh boy. Which almost happened last year. It almost happened last year. It was insane. We had no chance. We had no business losing that league last year. We were way out in front early with a better squad, and we almost lost the league. It was really close, just because we didn't spend any money. Well, we didn't spend very much money anyway. That's it. That's my thoughts. Kilmarnock Celtic on Sunday, Sunday morning for me. And I'll be live streaming that one. Very excited. Can't wait to get the season started. And see you then. Bye-bye.